I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk. This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
Are you a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
Do you have a gallon of milk I can also take home?
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays, my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, I'm a bit excited about this Thunder team. It's starting to, become fun, like extremely fun.
They are finding their way up to the base of this mountain, of the second mountain. And it's been extremely fun to watch. I was there at the game last night. The vibes around the team are just great. I mean, these guys are really excited and having just a wonderful time. And Kenrich Williams is like, so I asked Mark about Kenrich, like what he means to the team. And he didn't say like he's the heart and soul of the team, which I think is true.
Mm-hmm.
He said
Definitely true.
he has a great soul, I think was the quote, or a good soul. And it was just like, he's just like totally respects Kenrich, the man, and who he is to this team. And Kenrich is such a good person to kind of lead this team. And I think Shea is ultimately like the leader of the team. But if there's somebody to set like here is what we want Thunder culture to look like, here is what we want, here's how you should work, here's how you should do everything, is like Kenrich is the guy. He's awesome. So before the game, he was getting ready to go out on the court and shoot, and I just stopped him just to chat about TCU. I was just asking him like, where are you watching the game? If you're unaware, if you're not in the United States or unaware of the college basketball, oh my gosh, I'm unaware. College football national championship.
I'm saying it's not the time, Andrew. March is still
college
like weeks
football.
away.
Gosh, I'm just so focused on basketball. College football national championships tonight, TCU and Georgia, and he was he's just like grinning ear to ear the whole time we're talking, and is really excited about it. He's just going to watch it in his hotel room in Miami tonight. But just like very approachable, nice, kind, accommodating person. But also when he's on the court, like he will rip your face off.
Yeah.
I think he is such a huge reason why this team has played so well over this stretch. Is like you just have a lot of Kenrich Williams in the lineup, and he spaces the floor, makes good passing reads, plays just dogged defense. He's going to be one of the big time glue guys that's going to help lead this team up the next mountain. And he's helping them get there pretty fast. And some of it is like his play. Like he's shooting over 40% from three this season,
which is insane. he bounced back from a year where I think last year was 34, maybe less.
I believe it was less. He has played so well. Yeah, he's 33.9
Okay.
last year on 2.5 attempts. On 2
It
attempts,
is less than 34.
It
I
is.
can allow that.
He he's almost 42% on threes so far this season.
Yeah.
He's been great. This team, man, this Thunder team is exceeding expectations all over the place. And I think it's a good time to like stop and reflect and just recognize like this is not normal. This is the
Nope.
youngest team in the league. They're not full squad. They don't have their second pick in the draft on the team. And
Nor
yet,
the 11th,
yes, nor the
for
11th.
that matter.
Yeah, they're missing 2 lotto picks. And they are still rolling, playing really good basketball. And this is not a normal thing. Go look at the other teams that are this age, that are playing players this age on a regular basis. They are not doing this. They don't have 19 wins right now. They don't have, the Thunder's net rating on the season is 18th. The teams that we're talking about, San Antonio, 30th in net rating. Detroit, 29th in net rating. Houston, 28th in net rating. Those are the 3 teams. And then like Orlando, 26th in net rating. And then Charlotte's 27th. Those are the teams that we talk about. That is where the teams that are young reside. And that is normal. That is a normal thing. That is why I thought the Thunder, as the youngest team in the league, would be there too. I thought they would be there too. Looking at the net rating here, they have a better net rating than Miami, Chicago, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Wizards, the Clippers, the Hawks. All the teams I just named have something in common, and is that they are all trying to win basketball games today. They have rosters that were put together to win today. And the Thunder, who don't have a roster that's ready to win today, who don't have a team that's ready to win today, have a better net rating. And I credit first Shea. Like if you want to look for reason number 1 that this team is this good, it's the progress of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That's the number 1 thing. Number 2, it's this coaching staff, man.
Yeah, I was about to say.
They're really good. They're actually really, really good. You have to play a certain way to play for this team. You have to. If you don't, you're going to get pulled, and they're going to teach you, and they're going to let you try again. And the way that you have to compete, and this is something Mark said last night after the game about several of the players that are profiled as more or less just shooters out there. And it's Lindy, it's Isaiah Joe, it's Trey Mann. Like those guys compete. They play hard.
Yeah.
That is something that is so, so important because you watch these other teams who have guys that are solid on one end and don't compete on the other, and their defense stinks. That's another thing that all those teams that I read out before have in common is that their defense stinks. It's terrible. They don't know what they're doing. A lot of their offense stinks too, but it's the defense that is particularly bad. And the Thunder's defense does not stink. Like it's good. And they don't have a center. They don't have anybody to funnel anybody to at the rim. They don't have anybody protecting the rim at all. It's group schemes that they use. And it's like just deadly point of attack defense from guys like Kenrich and Lou Dort that help make this defense what it is. And it's the fact that everybody throughout the roster competes.
Yeah, can I say something about this? Because I think it's really important. Yeah. Competing is something that you need to bring yourself, but it's hard. When you compete hard all over the week in the gym every day, and then you don't see the court. Or if you see the court and the time is yeah, whatever. Eugene, you'll play just when we are down 20.
Yeah.
That's not how this coaching staff operates. There was a moment in the game yesterday where Giddy made 2 mistakes in a row against Bertans, and he made 2 threes.
Mm-hmm.
He got pined, and Waters came in,
Yep.
or Jalen came in. I don't remember.
Waters was awesome last night.
Waters
by the way.
was awesome, and
Holy
he got playing
smokes.
time.
Yeah.
Like he got
was good.
real playing time against the team that is winning in the West. Like
Yeah.
if you play hard, if you block a shot, if you go outside of your comfort zone, you put everything on the table for the defensive side, and you take the right shots, which is the Cambridge mantra, basically.
Yeah.
You will get minutes in this team, no matter.
It's amazing. Yeah,
Like,
keep going. It's
This is it. Like this is the matter. I mean, this coaching staff has the full trust of every single player. Well, 14 players at least on the roster, maybe 16.
Yeah.
And one is struggling clearly. Darius is really struggling to find minutes. But the rest of the guys have, I think, full trust in this coaching staff. And this is important. I mean, you mentioned the coaching staff. I would argue that, yes, Shea is extremely important, but the coaching staff is not so far behind because the way in which they have built this roster, this culture over the past 2 years is incredible.
Yeah.
And going back to the beginning of the season, let's leave aside the record. There was one storyline that was the most important for the season right after we knew about Chet Holmgren missing the season. It was, hey, let's see if during this season, Shea and Josh can try and start to play together.
Yeah.
And after 15 games, we were still on eggshells. Like, is this going well? Is this going like anywhere?
Yeah.
And over the past
sputtering
10
to start and that's okay. But yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. And we started saying, okay, maybe we really need Chet in order for this to work. Maybe we need something else. And then for the past 3 weeks, slowly but surely, things are starting to play in the right to go in the right direction. Last night, Giddy was struggling big time.
Yeah.
The game was not done. Like the game was not finished. And Shea decided to put Giddy into the game with his passing, and he paid off. And the game before, 2 moments where Giddy and Shea played 2-man game. It was perfect, and they were enjoying this. You can see that they were happy to be involved in this game. Shea started to take the first shot, I think, 6 or 7 minutes in the game, and they were moving around, and everyone was touching the ball. Maybe Shea. I mixed Shea and Chet. Maybe Shea touched the ball a little bit too less for my taste, but it's okay. Like things are starting to work, and I mean, we are halfway through the season, and the fact that we are talking positively about this chemistry between Shea and Josh is a great news.
Yeah. Yeah. They are running plays for one another in both capacities. Like you see it's Shea finding Giddy last night for those 2 threes, both assisted by Shea.
Yeah.
Huge, like crucial points.
They killed the game. Those killed the game.
If he clanks both of those, like I don't know who wins the game. I still think the Thunder win. Like I think they pull it out. But it's possible that the Mavs are able to continue to mount their comeback and win the game. Those were crucial. The fact that Shea, knowing that Josh didn't have it going, found him anyways. It was like, I trust you to make this shot. And that Josh stepped up.
And he made it.
It looks like it looks good. Like the shot looks noticeably better.
Yeah.
And it's it's quicker. It's more consistent. He talked about that guide hand and how that has really helped shape his shot to be more consistent every time. He didn't have those, like he had crazy bad misses last year. He doesn't really have those anymore. He's developed that shot really quickly. Like it's kind of, it makes me question whether it's real or not, just because it's like, this is happening really fast. Because I talked about it preseason that Giddey's likely going to take a step back in order to take a step forward later. And he did that to start the season. He struggled, but only for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then the
You
ball
can say
started to go in. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, and then it just like keeps going in. You're like, okay, cool, great. And like it just keeps going in. You're like, wow. Like the Thunder team, I mean, think about this. We did the bold predictions pod with you and me and Al.
Yeah.
Like, go back and listen to it.
Oh
like-
no, don't.
A lot of
I
our
made terrible predictions.
a lot of like some of our bold predictions that seemed like this is insane are starting to come true. I mean, Alex said he thought they would be a top half of the league in shooting, in 3-point shooting. Like they're not that today. They're ranked 16th, but they're 1/10 of a percentage point away from being 14th.
It's insane.
Top half of the league shooting. This is not that kind of roster, but you know what? They do take and find the right kinds of shots.
Yeah.
And like that is so important in the NBA because these guys are going to make shots. The fact that they found Isaiah Joe, the fact that Kenrich and Giddey are shooting the way that they are. And then Shea just being, he had 33 last night. And still, it just felt like, yep, that's Shea. That's who he is. Like, you just expect him to get to 33. I mean, even to start the season, if you would have said, yeah, it would have been a bold prediction to say he's going to average over 30 a game.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been insane. It would have been like a Pocky nacho plate to say that he's going to average 31 points a game.
Yeah, I think is that the pod where they say 27, 5, and 5?
I think something like that. Yeah.
And it sounded already, wow, you're completely.
It sounded
crazy.
like a lot. And now it's goodness. Like the Thunder have, and I think that we just need to it's okay to pause and appreciate what's happening right now. Cause this isn't normal for a 22-year-old team. This is not what 22-year-old teams do. And they're doing it. And they are doing it in a way that I think some of the shooting stuff is unsustainable, but the style of play, the mentality, and the guys that are getting major minutes, this isn't like Bogdanovic playing 35 minutes for these are guys that will play for this team in the future.
Yeah.
These are guys that are going to help. Like Muscala might be one that doesn't when it's time for them to try to win a playoff round. He may not be in there, but they're going to put Chet Holmgren in there and he's going to be the center. So don't worry because that's what's going to happen. So, they are on a trajectory right now that I have no clue what's going to happen the rest of the way. And we're not guaranteed, just because it's gone so well to start with, and you can look at the schedule and you can map out here's how they get to the play-in if they do this and this and this. I still wouldn't predict they'll get to the play-in. But also look at what I predicted to start the season. They're almost at the number of wins that I predicted last season. I think I predicted 27, something like that. It at this point, if they got 27 wins, it'd be
27.
Isn't that what I said? 25.
I don't remember.
25,
No,
27,
I think,
one of those.
I think 20, 26 or 27, yes.
It would be very disappointing if that's what they ended the season with, mostly because they would win 7 games out of 42. That would not feel great. That would not feel great. But they're likely going to win 33, 35, something like that.
Yeah.
Is a lot more likely. And, depending on what happens with the Lakers, that whole mess is going on right before our eyes. The Timberwolves as well, right before our eyes. Utah. The Thunder.
Yeah.
Think about how Utah started the season. The Thunder and Utah have pretty much the same record right now. And the Thunder are playing better basketball than Utah. And Utah's not playing bad. They're just losing games. But we don't know how Utah's going to pivot. Are they going to trade, Jared Vanderbilt or Malik Beasley or anybody like that? I don't know. But I just think that it's good to appreciate it. It's okay to wipe your expectations away for what the rest of the season is. The good thing about it is this. If the Thunder are in the lottery, awesome. They get to add a lottery pick to this team. If they somehow continue to blow expectations out of the water and make the play-in, it's great. It'd be amazing because that means you are really close and you get to add the second pick of the draft and you get to add whatever the heck Usman Jang is. You get to figure that out. And you have a ton of cap space and you have 4 picks. 4 in the next draft.
Yeah.
Some of which could be extremely valuable that you can either use in trade or you can just go ahead and pick a few guys. You're going to have to make some kind of trade anyways with the amount of roster spots that you're going to have. But if you were confused or didn't understand the plan or didn't like the plan, I had a lot of people in my mentions that didn't like the plan. And it's because you couldn't see it. But you can see it now. They're at 19 wins. John Hollinger on the Athletic to start the season picked them to win 20 games and to be the worst team in the Western Conference. And he was not alone in those thoughts.
Yep.
Worse than Houston. Worse than, and now you compare the two teams. One of those teams is going to have an all-star. One of those teams is going to have an all-star. One of those teams is going to have a top half of the league defense.
One of the team is playing basketball. We can just stop there.
One is playing organized basketball. The other one is just rolling the ball out and just, hoping and praying that things happen. It's the stark difference is there. And I think Houston's got a ton of talent. They clearly have a very talented roster. But there's a difference in just drafting guys and throwing them out there and hoping that's just catch lightning in a bottle and something happens. And then there's what the Thunder are doing, which is every single thing down to the kind of water that they're drinking is intentional.
Yeah.
Every step, every person that's drafted, everything is very intentional.
And we have to we need to start to define talent in a better way, I think.
Sure.
There is surely talent to some degree in Houston.
Yeah.
There are crazy offensive talents in terms of being able to score the basketball in difficult situations. Jalen Green is a crazy athlete that can do a lot with the basketball in his hands. Jabari Smith is a great defender, could be a great defender, and potentially a very nice floor spacer. Şengün has talent. He can be your point center. He can do a lot with the ball. But can they play for each other? Can they make quick decision? Can they adapt to one another? This is talent. Either you are Kevin Durant, LeBron James, then you can mold everything to your liking.
Yeah.
You are the scheme. Luka is the scheme. You don't really care about Giannis is the scheme. And even Giannis, it took a while for him to find, because Giannis is amazing. Giannis is amazing. And it took a while for Milwaukee to find the right pieces around him. But you do it because that is talent. The way in which a player can just mold a team and win. I don't think that there is exactly that in Houston. I don't think there is in OKC. Shea is great. Shea is no KD today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he knows that. I think that he knows
he doesn't act like he's KD. You listen to him talk, you see how he carries himself. He doesn't think he's that. He'll even say I've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's how he feels and that's how he talks. he's still like, I mean, it's astounding how humble he can be. But he still feels like he's got a ways to go. And so and they want to grow as a group. And the Chet piece is so intriguing.
Yeah.
Because he could end up he could end up being the best player on the team. Like that's not an impossible thought.
No.
And if
It's
he
not
is,
likely because Shea is extremely good,
yeah.
but it's not impossible.
No. And the skill set there is exactly what they need. Someone that can finish in the paint, protect the paint, that can shoot, that can create. It is pretty crazy to think about adding that kind of player. And then from there, you need somebody else to pop. I think Jalen Williams is gonna already like, okay, he's a solid player. He's in the rotation. He's a part of the next group. Great. He still could just be a lot better than he is today too. So like he could like emerge as like a true number 2 or a true number 3 or whatever, he could be. Jang, like we have no idea what Usman Jang is or could be, or if he will ever stop breaking his wrist. I don't know. But he could be something. Like they drafted him at 11 with the idea that you can't find guys that are 6'11" that can shoot, pass, and dribble like this. Like those kind of guys don't just exist. And if they do exist, the only way you're getting them in Oklahoma City is if you draft them.
Absolutely.
So, and then you have the pick in this next draft. Who knows? And then, I mean, I believe that the Houston Rockets are going to use their cap space on something this summer. They're not going to sit there on their hands and just hope and pray that their team gets better. They're going to try to make their team better right away.
That's sweet.
And it's what I hope will happen, and it's what I think will happen. And I don't think it will work. I don't think they have the foundation of adding something to make them better immediately. I don't think James Harden does that. I don't think there's any.
James will make them better.
Not a playoff team better, but
even maybe, but just a playoff like first round exit better. Maybe
look at
once.
the West. There ain't no way that James Harden and that group makes the playoffs.
Hey, he can have a resurgent. I don't know.
No,
he can have a great season, average 35, 5 and 8, whatever.
He's not that anymore. He can't do that. No, he can't do that.
Well, you don't know how Houston's life has effects on him. For what we know, Houston can put him on steroids for a couple of years. Who knows? I mean, anyway, I agree. It's very unlikely that with a team like that has no willingness to play any defense, and they have a very shaky offense that they can work. And there was a question in the chat or a comment in the chat that Jalen Green could be the best player on a championship team. Yeah, he can. He's the second pick in the draft. Those players have that kind of talent. But the list of players that are extremely talented and that weren't the best player on a championship team is extremely long. And if you have to bet, I would bet against it. Take the last, 10 championships. It's Steph, it's Giannis, it's whatever happened in the bubble.
LeBron.
It's yes.
It's LeBron.
I was sorry. That it's Kawhi.
Yeah, it's Kawhi. I mean,
What
I've watched
LeBron,
Jalen
Kawhi,
Green, if you think that you see the best player on a championship team in Jalen Green his first 2 years, you are a liar, or you're not watching. Because that's not it. He could develop into that, but to think that he has shown that.
No. He said if he develops,
it's just not even close to being true.
Yeah, but like projecting, it's so hard. Like projecting something that happens 5 times in a span of 20 years. In terms of, LeBron was drafted in 19 years ago. And let's name the best players on a championship team since then. Like it's Tim Duncan, that was drafted before. It's LeBron, it's Steph, it's Kawhi, KD, and Giannis. Kobe. But drafted after LeBron. How many?
Oh, drafted after LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron, KD, Steph,
Giannis,
Kawhi,
Curry.
Yeah, that's it.
Those
It's
are the guys.
5 players. So you really think that a guy like that can, like, sure he can. I mean, he can improve. Next year, he can average 35 and start going to a tear offensively. Is it likely? No. I mean,
No.
I would say that it's unlikely that it becomes better than Shea. It's unlikely because Shea is extremely good. He will be probably almost surely an All-Star and possibly an All-NBA. It's not easy to do. There are 15 players to do it every year, and so it's I don't know. It's really hard. Maybe they pull it off. Who knows? But back to OKC and back to J-Dub. I mean,
Jalen Green's very talented. He's only shooting 40% from the field. That's all. Okay, done.
Yeah. Let's get to our bread and butter, which is how this team is improving as of late. And I think that you tweeted something about the fact that over the past few weeks, OKC is a top 10 offense or something like that. And I think that there is a clear difference in the way in which they are playing. There is more Kendrick, and this is clearly something that is helping. There are less units where the floor is cramped, and this is helping. But let me go completely outside of my persona and let's praise Lou Dort a little bit.
Wow.
Yes. I noticed 2 things. One, I'm not sure I like. The other one, I'm sure that I don't like. And there is a third one that I really like. So let's. I'm in the middle. So the thing that I absolutely don't like, it's the fact that he's missing too much at the rim. But I like the way in which he gets there. I think
he
it's
gets there. He had some beautiful moves where it's just he completed 90% of an incredible move.
Yeah. But I'm not mad. I'm not worried about it going forward. I think it's something that that it's okay. It's okay. I am not sure how I feel about the pull-up jumper. And this will sound crazy to you because, Michele will hate this. No, because I kind of feel that this is something that he is training on so much, and they are allowing him to do it from time to time in a game where he's wide open. And if that is something that can come to fruition, even at 42%, that changes the equation quite a lot for Lou Dort. And so I'm not completely against it for some reason. The thing that I really like is the fact that he is really trying to take good threes for the most part. And he's a parent. He's not gunning every single time. He guns sometimes, and it's okay. That is Lou Dort. But if on 6 threes, he takes a bad one and 5 good ones, and maybe the bad one is sort of a hit check, that's okay. He took one last night that I said, oh, no, yes, great shot.
He's 34% on the season from 3. Do you know what he's shooting from the corners?
I think his usual 40 and change.
45.7% from the corners.
Yeah, that's Lou.
On the highest volume since his rookie season.
Yeah. But take the last 2 months. He's shooting 40% from 3. The last month and a half. He's shooting 40% from 3. He just started the year like many others terribly. This is another reason why this OKC run is doesn't feel unsustainable, because it's really one bad month of basketball on offense and a good one on defense, and then steadily they're playing okay and they're shooting the ball well, like everyone. They're taking better shots. And this is so important. And I really hope that Louis is realizing, hey, if I'm doing like that, I'm going to be allowed to take shots, which is important. And I will be contributing to such a high level. And again, over the past few weeks, even if the results were not always there for Lou, I think that the process is much, much better. And the same is for J-Dub. I mean, J-Dub is just... Last night, I saw him for the first time making play after play after play on defense. And I said, okay, this is starting to come to fruition. This is good. And I mean, it's again, it's a moment to not to overreact and say that this team will go on a tear in the second part of the season and win like 40 games. This is not what is going to happen.
Yeah.
But also to see, okay, there is something here that is brewing. I'm not sure when it will be ready, when we can uncork this new beer, but it's coming.
Have you seen the shot quality stat on Synergy yet? Have you looked at that?
No.
So it's new, and so they basically give you 3 different types of shots. It's either a low shot quality, it's medium shot quality, or high shot quality, and it gives you a percentage for what shots are players getting, or what kind of shots are they shooting. And Lou Dort is only 9.5% of the time does he have a low shot quality.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 73% medium, 15% high shot quality.
Okay.
And so he, with low shot quality, 0.75 points per possession by Ed. Medium shot quality, 1.00.
That's okay.
Yeah. And then with the high shot quality, 1.12 points per possession.
Let's shift a bit more to the high quality, and you'll have a player.
It's hard because you think about like Shea. Like, what would you
Shea
think?
has a horrible shot quality.
It's funny. I need to pull up the numbers. I was looking at this last night before the game was starting. And it's like, what do you think his low shot quality numbers are? Like, what percentage do you think his low shot quality is?
He's taking more than 30.
44% is low shot quality.
Yeah.
He's 0.95.
Which is insane.
Which is crazy, which means like, these shots are impossible. You shouldn't make these.
And that's a superstar thing.
Yeah, this is a superstar. Medium is 49%. And then high shot quality is 6%. His high shot quality shots, which is only 47 possessions, 1.6 points per possession. 1.13
on medium.
Half of his possessions in the medium.
Yeah, that's insane. He's been extremely efficient. And probably everything that is a layup attempt is charted as a medium. Everything that is a pull-up jumper, it's probably charted as bad. And if it's like heavily contested, it's bad, even if it's a layup.
Yeah.
And that's Shea. I mean, that is Shea. I wonder, like a player, I don't know, what's Kenrich's shot quality?
So let me pull it up really quick. I think Jalen Williams takes his 20% of his shots are high shot quality, which is like that's a good chunk. Like that felt right too. Whenever I saw it, I need to double check that. Yeah, Kenrich is almost 30%, 28.9% of the time it's high shot quality, and he's 1.14 points per possession.
Yeah,
and medium shot quality 50% of the time, 1.25 points per possession.
That's Kenrich mid range.
Yeah, and then low shot quality, 20.1% of the time, 0.89 points per possession.
Yeah,
still not like, I mean, 0.89 is like not ideal, but it's like okay, like that's like the worst you're giving us.
Yeah.
All right,
but that's what any role player should do.
Yeah.
And that is what
the role players will have a higher shot. They should have higher shot quality. Like that's just the way that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is what Giddey is doing with the 3 ball. There was one game where it took 7, where I think that the shot quality went to a bad level. But in general, he's taking good threes. And those are the threes that matter. Defenses are starting to kind of paying attention, not really closing out hard, but at least trying to make a step or two in his direction. And if that happens, like you don't need to take 4 threes. You just need to make the defense aware that as soon as you're open and as soon as the defense has have their heads completely turned on the other direction, you will make them pay, and this will be enough. I mean, PJ Tucker is a guy that helps on that end. Even if all the teams know we will not lose on PJ Tucker threes, but they pay attention anyway. So if Giddey can be that, plus being a genius of a passer, and the fact that he's starting to change the distribution of his shot, doing a lot more at the rim. There is a great piece that I'll put it on my timeline from Nikias Duncan on Giddey that says this. And he's shifting towards being in attack mode when he goes downhill. If you pair that with the improved shooting, I mean, you have it. And again, all this is without probably the main floor spacer of the starting unit, which is crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will continue to chat about the surprisingly good Thunder team. We'll be right back. And we're back after that quick break. I continue to just wonder about this road trip that the Thunder are going on. One, they're going to be on national television tomorrow night, which is extremely cool. It's great that they get that honor to be on national TV. I'm so glad it's on TNT. Curious if they're going to call him Gilchrist or if they're going to actually pronounce his name right, if they're going to actually coach him up a little bit. But they have a very interesting 4 games. So they have at Miami, and like we've already said this, the Thunder have a better net rating than Miami this year. And Tyler Hero got hurt yesterday. So I don't know. The Thunder could definitely lose that one on the road. They have not played as well on the road
that's
as
true.
they have at home, which is something that we should take into account. That, let me look up the number, but it's been a more difficult thing on, like, they lost to Charlotte on the road, which just felt like
that was a weird game.
It feels impossible. They're 13-9 at home, 5-13 on the road.
Yeah.
So like all these good feelings that we have today, I'm just curious what they look like after this road trip, because at Miami, not necessarily an easy one, but on national TV, you have at Philly on January
possible
12th.
Wins. Yeah.
Back-to-back at Chicago. Chicago is playing a lot better lately. But I think the Thunder it'd be a coin flip. They have a better net rating than Chicago as well. Then at Brooklyn, likely Kevin Durant-less Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. So if they go 2-2,
oh, that's spicy. 2-2 is very spicy.
What do you think is more likely, 3-1 or 1-3?
Yeah,
probably so. But if they can somehow go 2-2 on this road trip, your eyes just get a little bit wider.
Oh yeah,
this is a tough trip, a really tough trip.
Because 0-4 will not be terribly bad, by the way. Like if it happens and you play competitive games and you lose them all, you can lose these games. Those are better teams. Except for Chicago.
Yeah. And then like you have Indy at home, Sacramento on the road, Denver on the road, Atlanta at home, Cleveland at home. And like that gets you almost to the end of January. And you finish with Golden State. And that's the end of January. And so like this is why I was like saying like just like pause and like appreciate this, because like we're not guaranteed to have these same feelings at the end of January. We could be looking more like, oh, we're 6th in the reverse standings. This is great. Like, just appreciate the fact that this team looks like this today and that they've made this progress and that Mark Daigneault is so great. So before the game, I was asking him just like, how do you keep your team focused on the big picture and not just on your shooting percentages or how you performed in this game, or like how do you keep them focused. And like he just talked about how like that's the job of the organization, that they want all the players to feel every feeling they have. They don't want to keep them from feeling like frustrated or elated or excited about their shooting percentages or mad about their shooting percentages or upset about a game or whatever. He said, but it's the job of the organization to set the table, and of the coaching staff to set the table of consistent work and refocus them after they get to feel everything they need to feel, zero them back in and say, hey, these are still our long-term goals. This is where we're heading. This is how we're going to get there. And I just think that it's so good to have somebody like that like Mark is very down to earth, very relatable. And the guys are responding. Like they're just consistently responding to Mark and to the staff. And Mike Wilkes was somebody that was called out too, because I asked Mark just like what were your thoughts on what are your thoughts on the way that Giddey shot the ball?
Mm-hmm.
He said from the ground up it looks so much better. He said, but to put it all at like the feet of Chip England is like not right. He said it's a big inflection point for Josh. But he said, but the work had already begun with Mike Wilkes, who's been on the staff. He said Mike has helped individually, Josh and Shea and many other guys on the roster in like big ways. And so it's just I don't know. I have just the ultimate faith in this staff to develop them and get them to where they need to go. And Presti is picking the right guys. I think guys that fit with this group, guys that play a certain brand of basketball. I just continue to be really impressed. And like there's part of me that goes in to these pressers not necessarily looking for that, not necessarily like wanting everything to be roses walking out. Like I want to know like genuinely like how does this work? And if he gave me a crap answer, I'd come on here and talk about, hey, I think this answer was a little weird. Or I think, we talk about like Darius has given me like tons of weird answers, and I'm more than willing to come on here and talk about how we felt uncomfortable about certain things. I don't necessarily go in there like hoping that everything's going to be great and rosy. Like I just want to tell you guys what's going on. And like continually, I'm just like really impressed by the work and character of almost everybody around the team. And it's consistent. And they are definitely, they're definitely on the right track. And you look at these other rebuilding teams, and it's hard to say that. The Spurs are so early on in their rebuild that it's just like, whatever. I like some of the pieces they have. Obviously, their coaching staff is phenomenal as well. Like all of that, fine. Did Detroit and Houston have the right coaching staffs in place? I think you can easily say no.
Yeah.
With the way that things are working in both markets. And yes, they've had injuries in Detroit, but this is not year 1 or year 2 for the Pistons. This is year 4 for the Pistons.
That is scary.
And they beat the Thunder. All credit to them. Great job beating the Thunder. I don't know what is keeping them on the Dwayne Casey track. Like I don't quite get it. I don't feel like the habits that are happening there are necessarily the right ones. And I think like the Bogdanovich thing may work out for them and they may get another pick out of this whole thing. But is he helping that team become
clearly they land a lot of top picks, so that counts for something. No, it's really hard to I don't know, judging a coach, you can't with losing teams. It's easy to be swayed in either directions. And we said it many times, there are coaches that are good for a certain moment in the development of a team. I mean, Brad Brown, during the rebuild, there were moments you say, "Wow, this team is playing hard for him. They can get anywhere," until they didn't. And I mean,
where Brett is now. Like, what team has Brett now? It's the Spurs.
yeah, sure.
Like,
And yeah, and you can say that the opposite, it's less likely to happen. Like when you can see a team that is not going anywhere, it's unlikely that from one year to the other, this team immediately blossoms into something special. The last time was again Brett Brown. The team was putrid on purpose, though. This is not what is happening in Detroit. I don't know if like this year is a year where you say, okay, let's just be bad. And it's also very uncommon because there is a new GM who didn't pick the coach. And
right.
And so, all right, like it was earlier than the change of GM. So I think it's unlikely that this will continue for long. But maybe there is no, like, what if there is no right candidate, and you still have a steady presence there? You know that this coach will at least create something like a certain culture, and maybe he's not good at making this team win, but they also had like a lot of injuries and a lot of problems with their roster. So maybe they're saying, okay, until we find the guy that we really like, Dwayne Casey is a name in this league, is well respected in a city like Detroit, and for now, until we find the coach that we really want, he's at the helm, and we'll see.
Yeah. I disagree. I disagree with that. I just don't think that that's the right thing to do. I mean, I commend a team like New Orleans for hiring Willie Green.
Yeah.
You know, a guy who had been an assistant for a while. They went out and paid Stan Van. They paid him, brought him in. They saw after a year, nope, it's not it. And then went and got a guy like Willie Green. The kind of like Willie Green and Mark Daigneault are not that different.
No.
They're definitely different in the way that they got here. Like Mark's story is just like crazy awesome. But like this is where I'm like, Dwayne's not this guy. And like these are the guys that are thriving in the league right now. Like Will Hardy in Utah.
Yeah.
It's these guys that are relatable, motivational, understand the organization from the top to the bottom, and are working in tandem with the front office. And like I don't necessarily see those same things going on in Detroit or in Houston. It may be completely out of the hands of the coach there, because I think the group of players they have there is not conducive to winning basketball. So it's hard for me. It's hard for me to say specifically that what's going on in Houston is a coaching thing. I don't think that's fair. I think that he will be sacrificed. He'll be the sacrificial lamb of that group. I believe that will happen. But I don't think he's the problem. I think it's the players in Houston. I think it's the group of guys. And honestly, the best thing for them would be to just be bad and get lucky and get Scoot Henderson on their team and just have some guy to come organize the chaos that's happening on that roster. Asking a 19-year-old to do that is a rough thing, but it might be like the only way, like truly out of this mess with this roster to like get on a path.
So you like Houston's roster better than Detroit's? You like Detroit's roster better than Houston in terms of being coachable. I don't know. I found it hard to judge from here. I think
yes, I do.
Okay, that's fair. I don't have like numbers to say otherwise. I think that Cade has been extremely underwhelming. Also injured, so who knows? And that is a big part of what is not working in Detroit. Cade hasn't been a number one pick in terms of
he hadn't played all year too, so it's hard to judge them.
Yeah, but even last year it wasn't like a supernova kind of rookie year.
Yeah.
That is something that has been. I mean, they butchered the Killian Hayes pick.
Badly.
Ivy is a nice player, but he's not the one that will lead you to anywhere, especially not with Cade. out, or with Cade not playing to a certain standard.
Yeah.
And this is what is happening in Detroit to me more than anything. Like, yes, if you have a young, energetic coach, maybe players will play harder. But again, it's I understand it's weird. It's weird to have a front office that comes in and doesn't pick the coach. Like, it's again, it might be outside of basketball. It might be outside of the common thinking. It might be something different with Dwayne Casey. But again, I don't see it as a situation that goes on for like 5-10 years. Maybe it's 5-10 months.
Yeah. Even like the Celtics, like Joe Mazzulla, like they love Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah.
He's another one of those kind of guys. Like the league is bypassed. Like the Charlotte Hornets hiring Steve Clifford is just like, what in the world are you doing? You missed it. Like, you don't understand any of it. If you hire Steve Clifford to be your coach, it's insanity. It's absolute insanity to have him as your coach. And like, that's where like Steven Silas, like, fine. Like, he's not some retread. He's somebody that's been working really hard. Great character guy. It's hard for me to blame him. It's hard for me to blame him. Chris Finch, even in Minnesota, like, I don't think Chris Finch is the problem up there. Like, Chris is a really good coach. Like, that's a really, I mean, Jamal Mosley in Orlando, I think, given that guy a chance, I think he's done a pretty good job. I don't know. There's less and less of these guys that are around, but like Steve Clifford, Dwayne Casey, like that's a couple of those guys where you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if those kind of guys can work. Tom Thibodeau in New York, and I know that the Knicks have been better lately, but like, is Tom Thibodeau a long-term solution for any franchise as a head coach that has championship aspirations? I think the answer is definitively
that would not be my choice.
No. Definitively, no. It's actually like more like, and I know the Suns have struggled and they've been rough, but like Monty Williams is like kind of like the new style of coach that like works better in the NBA, like more relatable. I think that this generation of player just responds a whole lot better to that kind of person. Even like Taylor Jenkins has done an outstanding job. I think even like Darvin Ham, honestly, in LA, and I know the Lakers situation is not great, but like, I think Darvin Ham's like done about as good a job as you can do with that team.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, anyways, all of this to say, I really admire the job the coaching staff in OKC is doing. I admire them continuing to develop not only the players, but the staff from within to get better. And I think bringing a guy like Chip over, like, is not only development for the players shooting, I think it's development for the staff to be around a guy like that.
Yeah, sure. That is as important. Like, I mean, it's Adams teaching a certain brand of defense and then moving on, and that defense, even if it was not the same, it just carried over. It's so it's about adding top-notch guys to a coaching staff that is already doing the right things. And it's important what you said before. Like, Mike Wilkes did the first few steps, maybe a lot of steps with Giddey and Shea, and then there is another layer, and maybe Mike Wilkes would be better at this job after this year or two working with Engel. That is how it should go. And even, I mean, we were discussing with John about I don't remember the name, the guy that they hired from Philly. I mean, that's important as well in terms of scouting. I mean, hiring new guys that can make contributions. And if, I mean, guys like Isaiah Joe, I think that is where they came from. So it's right. It's improving in a lot of areas. And again, I said at the beginning of the pod, yes, Shea is the main catalyst for this version of OKC, but this is also this is well, a lot of this is the staff and it's the way in which the message and the play style and the commitment is passing to the players.
I think that's right. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Hope you guys are enjoying your week. Enjoy the national televised game. I think that will be really fun. We will just see where this goes from here. But I do think it's important to pause and recognize this is pretty cool what we're seeing happening in Oklahoma City with this team again. And they've had 2 major rebuilds. The first one we know was Hall of Fame level rebuild, just ridiculous. This one, we don't exactly know where it's heading, but it's heading down a very good path. I don't know that you can do better than Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, but we don't know. We don't know what this is going to look like in the next couple of years, but it's heading in the right direction. So thanks so much for listening, and we will be back again on Wednesday.